Taneytown Planning Commission come to order, please. Would you please stand for the pledge of the flag?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the minutes reflect the members that are present here this evening. Commission members should have received the draft minutes of March 27, 2023. Is there any corrections or additions to those minutes? If not, I'll hear a motion. Please state what the motion is.
I motion that we accept the minutes from March 27th, 2023 as written.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, motion was made by Mr. Brown, second by Mr. Miller. Any further discussion? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Carried. Thank you, folks. This evening, delegation and action items. Memorial Park expansion. Would Darryl, you want to lead us off, then we'll go right into it?
Sure. Well, Lorena's will be presenting for the city. We've already seen the concept plan for the expansion, and it's not going to change a whole lot from what we saw the last time. So I'll let Lorena.
Right, so we've had a positive feedback from State Highway about that connector road from Frederick Street into the Memorial Park expansion area. The engineer is going to continue working with SHA on getting that roadway access permit. And then hopefully soon here, we'll go ahead and begin the county review process. We'll set up a technical review, a pre-submittal meeting with them. With the concept plan, and then we'll go forward with that. And of course, as the design becomes more complete, it'll be brought forward to you for additional updates.
Okay, so this evening, we're looking for a concept plan approval. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any comment from the commission?
I just have one quick question. So there was a gentleman that made a suggestion that you look at having one field being turf as opposed to others. Did you look at that?
Did you receive the email that I had sent to Daryl and was
I
distributed?
saw the one, but I thought it was the analysis that looked at all the fields. I didn't see it for one field.
Right, even one field would contain the PFAS chemicals, so, and that's not
Because of
something
the
that we want, right? I mean, in addition to the other disadvantages of it, the hotter playing surface, the greater risk for injury, and there are a whole slew of other reasons. The lack of flexibility, and the whole purpose for having 4 fields is so that multiple sports organizations can play on them. And these artificial turf fields generally are painted, they're painted lines. And unless you have multiple colors for multiple sports, that's gonna be confusing for young players, maybe just starting out in the sport, to know that they only need to pay attention to the blue lines or the red lines, or whatever. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thanks.
Okay, any other comments? And I'm looking for a motion for concept approval.
Motion for concept site plan approval for Memorial Park expansion.
Okay, Judy, is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Miller. Any comments from the floor? Okay, all those in favor of the motion for concept approval for Memorial Park expansion? Motion was made by Judy, second by Miller. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Darryl, let's move on into our active site plans.
Okay, sir. The next item we'll be talking about is the finalization of Bollinger Park. And Lorena's got the reins again.
All right, so as you all know, you approved the final plan back in June of last year. It's been almost a whole year. Contingent on county approvals. We have received the county approvals, so we are ready to begin construction next month. There was one change on the driveway, the entrance, so technically that's a red line change, in which case the chair of the planning commission and the director of zoning authorize the approval of that. They go ahead and approve it, and it's done. However, we wanted to bring this forward to you all and visitors, attendees, the public, so that everyone knows what exactly has changed here. And I'm going to go ahead and share an image up on the screen here. Hopefully you can see this. I'll enlarge this a little bit. So what is in red is the original driveway location, and what is in black is the revised. I know it's a little difficult and kind of confusing a little bit to see here with it overlaid, but it just goes to show how close these two locations are. I think it was a total distance of about 24 feet that it was shifted to the north to meet the 445-foot sightline requirement in the county.
That means that we're facing it from Finger Road to be to our left, right?
Correct.
Okay. Any comments from the commission? Okay, this will be noted as red line. Jim, do you have a comment?
Since we never went through the signature process to sign off and submit the site plans or go to Mylar prints like we typically do once a plan is approved, technically these don't have to be redlined. So we wanted to take the opportunity to get it before you one last time. It is a relatively small change that could have been approved as red lines, but since we hadn't signed off on the Mylars already, we'll incorporate this change into them before they come for your signature.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the floor? Please come to the mic, state your name and address.
Wayne Ribby, 3711 Fringer Road. So the left of where the red line's at, on the right side of it, how far is that from my property line? I mean, you can't move that over to the center from the Perry's property line and my property line?
We have to meet a sight line, sight distance. So when you're coming out of this driveway, you can see 445 feet to your left, 445 feet to your right. So this was the location that met that.
You see how
It's in
close
black.
that parking lot is to my property line?
Well, it's 20.
It's like the Perry's. Yours right on their property line, now you're hugging my property line. I have everybody going to that park right next to my property. Why can't you, I mean, June Bollinger, she gave you all her property, and Robert Dayhoff sold you his two parcels, $100,000 apiece. Why can't you come in from 194 instead of, let me finish my sentence. Instead of all this chaos going up and down the road on the Fringer Road. You know, you're gonna have a lot more traffic. You got bicyclists going up and down the road during the summertime. And meanwhile, I'm gonna have all these people walking around my property line, think it's a community pool, go-kart, trampoline, whatever. And who's to say that they're gonna trespass on my property? I got a lot of stuff out there that I got to worry about. People coming on my property. Or you're saying, but last time you're going to put a fence up. That ain't going to stop nobody from gawking on my property. And I bought that property for privacy. When I first saw it, I said, this is great. I tried to get Robert Dayhoff to sell me a parcel of his property. He wouldn't sell it. He said that the city of Taneytown was going to buy it and they can't build on it. But it's worse yet. You're gonna have all kind of people coming around that property. And you're gonna have, you say you're gonna put lights on the parking lot? And where the lights gonna be at? Shine in my area?
No, they're going to be limited, and I think they were addressed where the lighting was going to be at the, when we approved this back in June, but you want to touch on where the lights
Do
are
you want me
going
to
to be
go ahead and
shining?
respond? Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, the black shows where the parking lot is now. It's actually moved further away from your property, albeit a small move, but it's at least, 24 feet further away. Yes, we are putting up a fence and some evergreen trees as a screen for privacy and also as a boundary. It's going to be, as you know, the woods are there. I can't imagine anybody tromping through, but some people might. But regardless, as I said, we'll have that fence and the trees along the property line there. The lighting, we're envisioning maybe 4. They're not going to be bright. They're going to be bright enough just to facilitate security camera footage coverage, and that's it. And we are going to be planting trees around the parking lot as well, probably taller evergreens. So that'll help cushions and, that light, obviously.
First off, I saw a stake, 1x2 stake, well, yeah, 1x2 stake saying driveway entrance is 60 feet from my property area. And then you bumped it out, said 24 feet more.
I believe so, yes. Are you talking
This
about?
isn't good enough. I mean, your parking lot's not gonna be far at all from my property.
Also, just to address the question about why we can't put a drive off of 194, all of that road frontage is flood zone. It's only fit for trees, unfortunately. I mean, that's something you'd have to take up with the state. We thought about that initially, but it was determined that it was unsuitable for any kind of traffic
There's
like
a
that.
driveway not far from there, but the Ferris parents have.
Okay.
That's
And we-
accessible.
And there will be security cameras there.
Correct.
So
It doesn't matter.
I know, but it's a deterrence, and it's a way to see what's going on, after hours and actually during hours. So we appreciate what you're saying.
No, you don't.
Yeah, we do, I do, because I
I
really,
mean, it's bull. You know,
it's,
I bought that area for privacy and then putting a nature park right next to my property, and it's bullshit.
well, excuse me, but it's for the benefit of all our citizens in the community together. And you're welcome to use it too, because it's right next to your property. So I'm sorry I can't say anything else about it, but that's,
So in turn, I gotta put a fence up also for my dog. So he goes in that woods periodically.
well,
And
actually,
cats, and
dogs
then-
shouldn't be running loose into the woods anyway. So,
You know, if I want to live around all these people around the area I'm gonna be living at, I would move into the city, move back to Baltimore City where I came from. And I've dealt with a lot of bullshit down in Baltimore City.
I appreciate what you're saying, and I do understand your concern. But what I can do about it, is what I can do about it. So, with that, I thank you for your,
I would like to
Comments.
say, I mean, and I'm not trying to sound antagonistic in this respect, but it is a nature park. It's not going to have that high of a traffic count, and it's certainly better than housing development. It's better than sports venue with athletic fields and big stadium lights. Better than like a concert or event venue with lots of things going on in there. The observatory is no longer going in there, so that reduces the traffic again, especially on after hours. This is going to be a dawn to dusk park, unlike our other parks, which are open 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. This is dawn to dusk, that's it. So you're only going to have daytime traffic, and we don't anticipate that much, as I said. I mean, there are only, I think, 11 parking spaces there.
Is
based
there
on
gonna be a gate to the entrance to the park?
There probably will be a gate at some point, yes. Our police officers are going to be checking it out to make sure everybody's out of
I
there.
mean, the way I look at it is that kids gonna go there to get high and drink some booze.
I think
And
they
then
have,
they start to wandering around. I got a feeling there's gonna be trouble with kids, just wandering around and throwing trash. And when it's dry season, throw a cigarette down, whatever, ignite a fire.
I'd like to weigh in with an observation, having hiked that property many times since the city's acquired it. before we posted it, no trespassing. People are doing that now. I've been out there, there's been evidence of campfires, there's bottles, cans, miniatures, alcoholic bottles, lawn furniture, you name it, people are out there doing this stuff now. And and somebody, okay, I've been out there watching somebody with a four-wheeler drive across the property. I've been out there, we've knocked down the stairs on somebody's tree stand, only to have it rebuilt, so we knocked it down again.
3 times.
As the city manager, I haven't given permission for anyone to hunt on city property. Plus, now that it's annexed into the city, you can't shoot a bow or a firearm on the property, yet somebody's put a stand up there. So this stuff is happening now. People are out there drinking. People are out there having fires. It's happening now because I've been out there and seen the evidence of it.
I'm his wife, I'm Mrs. Ruby. I hear a lot of stuff going on, because I'm in that house, my dog barks at everything. Most of the garbage you've seen has been there since before we moved into that house. Most of the garbage you're seeing was left there from the Hayneses, the Bollingers, and anybody else that had farms out there. Because when I hear stuff, I walk out in the woods, because I'm protecting my property. So does my husband. I send a dog out there. I'm not seeing anything like that. If you're seeing it, it's way down in the back, because I've never seen anything, and I'm very observant of my property and the property around me. If you see anybody walking in the woods, see, even the county guys who walk in there, what are y'all doing at? I've been out, talked to Lorena about a couple times. What are y'all doing? Because I'm protecting that property, and I'm concerned about that too. There's a good reason they said that the what do you call it? Soldiers to Light Fire was started by a cigarette. We don't want to lose our houses to a fire because someone wants to be a moron and smoke. And again, say, I'm worried about kids partying. We were all kids. We like to go party. And if we can't party in our house, we can find some place to party. That's secluded. It's going to be loud for them, for us, for the Morning Stars, anybody else that's along there. Then every time my dog barks at night, I gotta take my dog out with her, because I'm worried about somebody hurting the dog. She's a pit bull. Nice pit bull you'd ever want to meet, but people get excited because it's a pit bull, and God helps somebody hurt my dog, they're gonna deal with me. I got 2 cats, they're inside, outside. I have to not only have to put collars on them, which I've never collared before, I have to make sure that they have their chips, because I'm worried about the one cat getting taken because he's friendly. And I am off in the summertime. Don't be laughing at me. If anybody's like that, I swear to God, I was.
Ma'am, we're not laughing, but I guess my question.
I'm not done talking. My first graders don't interrupt me. Okay. I'm off in the summertime. I enjoy my pool. I'll be damned if somebody's gonna.
Okay, that's enough.
Don't tell me to be
But
shut.
I didn't tell you, that's enough.
Well, I want privacy in my
Please have your
pool.
seat. Please take your seat.
You done?
No,
Please take your seat.
What, you gonna call the cops now, because we ain't done saying
No,
what
I'm
we gotta
not.
say?
No, I'm not. I'm
You
just
might as
asking you
well,
to
because we're gonna say what we gotta say. We got 2 minutes.
You've had your time. Just have somebody else talk.
No,
There's someone else.
we're gonna say what we gotta say here.
yeah,
That's all there is to it.
Okay, I'll give you one more minute.
Mr. Miller.
I'll
Oh,
give you-
whatever.
I'll give you one more minute,
When next
and it
year,
starts now.
You and I.
Whatever, give us
You
whatever, 30
actually
seconds.
agreed with
Yep.
what I was saying. I'm not opposing to the park. I just like to have a little bit more privacy, so when I'm in my pool with my grandkids and my husband and my friends, I don't see people gawking at me like I'm some zoo animal. That's my problem. That's my privacy. I don't want my privacy invaded. You all wouldn't want it, so why do we have to deal with it? I've said my piece.
So what kind of fence you talking about putting up?
So I was just going to address that. As we had discussed last year, we didn't discuss the type of fence. We discussed the evergreen trees. And so we have selected a rail fence just for the initial boundary, and then a solid wall of evergreen. I prefer Leland cypress because they're fast-growing. They grow wide, they grow tall.
It's like a cypress tree?
Yes, it's an
Okay.
evergreen, yes.
Okay.
They get pretty tall, and they're wide, they will interweave together. So Eventually, that fence, being wooden, as you know, is going to deteriorate. But by that point, those trees are going to be a solid wall. So that's going to give you privacy here along where the pool is, on the edge of the property. Plus, we do have, we've already got the woods there. I know a lot of those are deciduous between where the parking lot's going to go in and over here on your property. But again, the fence and the evergreen trees, I think, are going to provide you with that privacy screen that you're looking for.
Now, the trees out of there now,
I'm sorry?
the trees that are there now against the pool, what are you gonna do with those trees? Take them down or put the evergreens in front of my woods?
We'll meet on site there and we'll figure that out. Yeah. I can give you this if you like. It just shows,
You have
we've
extra
got,
one?
yeah, you can have this. I've got this. It's, looks like it's going to be, just based on my measurements, 150 linear feet of fencing and then 8 of those large cypress trees.
Okay.
Okay, but we'll meet out there on site at your property, you and Mrs. Ruby, and we'll go over that and spec it all out.
Is my minute up?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
You know, not you, what?
I understand what you're saying.
You know, you don't tell me
And I
to sit down.
appreciate
now you're
having
done talking.
privacy. And we'll do whatever we can to make this affect everyone, affect the community, to the best interest of all we can.
Right.
And-
Okay, thank you.
But thanks for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Please come to, state your name and address, please.
Tracy Perry, 3795 Fringer Row. So we were here last year and we talked all about this, and then since that time, the planetarium or whatever is not going to be put back there. So what would be the purpose of this park to begin with if the original purpose was for the planetarium? Or
Well, that wasn't the sole purpose. They came in afterwards and asked for a good location for an observatory, and we said, hey, we're going to have this nature park. It's probably going to provide the best location for you, as opposed to down at Memorial where there are all the sports, et cetera, what have you. So, but since then, they've decided not to. The light coming actually from Meads Crossing, the development across the road, has just made it not really feasible for them to set up their nighttime observations there. So they're going to have to look for elsewhere with darker skies and just the general light in the city that the city's putting off these days. So.
Okay, so then in reference to moving the parking lot, because last year the parking lot was down closer to my house, and then someone came out a few months ago and put up a stake that was closer to the Ruby's house, and then just last week someone came out and remarked everything and moved it again a third time. So is where it is right now the specific spot where the entrance is?
Correct.
Okay.
That is the final location.
Okay, so what had to be the change? Why was there a change?
We had to meet the 445-foot sight line distance. So.
Okay, well, there's no sight line at the S-curve by the Doan Farm because of the tree she planted, so how do you justify that? My husband has complained to the county about that, and nothing has been done about that.
Well, I can tell you that county engineers went out, our engineers, our staff, zoning, the city manager, we've all been out there with our measuring wheels and everything, and everyone agreed on that location that you could meet 445 feet down the road on the one side and 445 feet on the other side.
Okay. All right, so then the only other thing I have is, so the trash that is out there by our area has been there since we built our house there. So I don't know where the other trash that Jim is talking about is, but so I looked on the county website for all the planning and everything that had to do with Bollinger Park, and I found that you have to destroy 3.99 acres of trees, and then you are required to replant 798 trees. So where are these trees going to be destroyed? Is that going to be right there where we are? So because you can already see through the woods now when the trees are bare, so I can't imagine taking 4 acres of trees from there. It'll be completely, there'll be nothing there. Like I don't understand how
So,
that's possible.
The location of the trail as it moves from the driveway down through the woods, all along Piney Creek and everything, and then where it rejoins on the loop there, everywhere that's wooded, the trees that we're taking down there, the county stated that we are required to replant 3.99 or 3.94 acres. So those are actually going to go, it's not really shown on this, but I'll try to zoom
They're
in
on
here, bear with me.
194.
Right,
'cause I
so,
saw them planting
no,
them.
those are from Meads Crossing and other developers.
Okay.
They have to do the same thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
So these are going to be going, if you can see, I'm zooming in here, so you see where the creek bed is, and then it kind of angles up. It's going to go along that creek bed and then along that smaller line, not where it angles up, but over there. So it'll be on both sides of that creek bed.
so you won't be replanting any trees back in our area where you're putting the parking lot?
Well, we're only taking down the necessary trees in order to put in the trail. We're not going through the whole woods and deforesting, random trees that aren't associated with the trail vicinity.
Okay. But still,
And
I've
also, I
been-
know that we had talked last year, and again, you also are getting the rail fence and the evergreen trees as well. And in your case, we are going, because you have a larger property, from the front corner, I guess you want to call it the front corner of your house, all the way down to just before it meets the pasture. So that is a total of 270 linear feet, and we estimate about 20 of those cypress to be planted there. And you can have this. This is your copy. And also, we'll be meeting with you on site as well to just review the location.
Right, and you remember that I told you that my husband had our property surveyed and that our line is actually into the woods further. So
Okay,
you
well-
have to stay then away from our property line to build your trail.
Well, our trail isn't near when you look at the close-up here, it's a little bit further in, and we can get a copy of that survey as well. But, and this park property, of course, was surveyed before any of these plans were developed. So I think we are good there, but if you'd like, again, we can meet out there on site and spec it out where it's marked. And also that ramble trail that's shown there, the dotted lines, and we had discussed this before as well. We're just going to flip that. Do you see where that specimen tree is? Kind of, I'm gonna center it right there in the screen. And that ramble trail starts up and curves over, heading towards the corner of your property line there. We're just gonna flip that to the opposite, so it's gonna go into and away from the trail, kind of to the right, if you will. So it'll be pulled away from there completely. And same thing up here where it goes down to the corner there. I think that's into the pasture, right where the property line, the dark dashed line starts angling. We'll just move it again on the other side away from there. And that's not gonna be a hard trail. That's basically gonna be a little bit more than a deer path. Again, a ramble trail just for people who just want to walk off the trail a little bit. It gives them a guided area to do that, so that way they just don't take it upon themselves to start meandering around in the woods. And the park rules do stay, or will state on the sign, to stick to the trails. So that's it. I mean, again, you can put it up there, I know, but as long as we have it posted, if someone starts
Right.
becoming disorderly, we have recourse then when our officers are called out. They can say, see that rule, you're
Yeah, well, a few months ago, there were some houses broken into on Fringer Road, so that was disturbing in itself. So I don't know, ever since this all started, I'm not really against your trail. I'm against where you want to put the parking lot, because I feel like when it came here and said I didn't want it beside my house, nothing was ever done. There is a empty empty spot there on Fringer Road where between the houses that I guess was supposedly years ago made to be like an access to the rear, but Jim said you can't use that, but.
Right, that's not our property.
between-
It's not our
Right,
city
right,
property.
well, this wasn't your property until you acquired it, so why couldn't you acquire that access thing? I mean, let's be real, this wasn't your property until you acquired it. So, I mean, and you can't go off of 194, and so you are limited trying to work with something, and even though everyone here is saying we don't want it, you're still going with your own agenda. And I looked at all the other parks in Carroll County, and they don't have their parking lots beside houses. So
Well, I mean, Memorial Park has, a couple of parking lots near
Well-
people's houses. Again, I mean,
but
it's all relative. I do want to say, though, that this park right now, undeveloped, is, our taxpayers are paying for it, and they can't even use it. So yes, it's approved, it's going to be developed as a nature park, one trail, and now not even the observatory, but yes, people will go there, they'll walk, hopefully they can fish, and hopefully everyone will be quiet and orderly and respectful. And we do have our officers, this property is within city limits, and our officers will ensure that, so
and you
that's
have
the
all
best we
these
can
other
do.
parks that you're trying to develop that are away from homes. So why push this one?
Answered that. We own the property, taxpayers are paying for it, and they can't use it yet.
And they're
So,
paying for all the other ones you bought too.
right.
So,
And,
you know.
and those are being improved or developed in the case of Memorial Park with the expansion, so additional sporting fields. We didn't want to do that here because of the homes. We wanted to keep this quiet, a nice quiet nature park. Again, not a concert or event venue, not sports fields with big stadium lighting and activities going on at all hours. So, I mean, this
Let's
is
hope
really,
not.
yeah, this is really the best that we can do. We feel like it's the best solution and compromise, really.
Thank you for your input. Anyone else would like to speak? All right, then we'll move forward. Thank,
I can't see that. I'm sorry. I want to know how far away this is going to be from my property and my pool. The parking lot.
Okay, so let's.
I can't see it. I wish I could see it, but unfortunately I can't.
I can't. Can you
No.
see it on my screen? Can you see it better on my screen? So there's your
Yes.
pool right there. Okay, this is a stormwater fire retention. And then here's the parking
So
lot.
the stormwater, the way it originally was going to be, because a while ago, it was going to be up here by the Perrys, then you
Right,
all
that was
moved.
the first, then it
Right.
moved over here, basically, kind of where that stormwater is.
Yes.
Now it's moved further
Okay.
away
So
from
the
your house.
stormwater's going to be between my pool and the park.
Right. Which will actually kind of be another barrier for people that hopefully won't be
Right.
traipsing through
Well,
that.
I'm not worried, I'm just worried about the privacy.
Mhm.
That's what, I don't want people, oh, what is she doing in her pool?
Right. Well,
'Cause I
again,
have-
once we have those evergreen trees up, hopefully,
Yeah,
like I said,
They take a long, Speedy, they
these,
take a long
I
to
know,
grow.
I know. That's why we selected
Yeah.
ones that are the fastest growing
Yeah, and the
evergreens that are up
cypress
there.
are,
Mhm.
but my grandkids come over, and like I said, if you could maybe put it like a little further back, that would be nicer, because if I gotta see people gawking at me, I'm gonna get really ignorant, I'll be honest with you. I work with first graders, and I could be sweetest person, I could be a neat, nasty woman too, I'll be honest with you. So why can't you put the park, like the parking spot a little further back, so it's not in eyesight of my pool? That's the
can
only
you
thing I'm
guys get
asking.
together maybe and talk about this? Maybe actually meet out at your place?
That would be great.
Because
That
I'd
would
like
be
to come
great.
out.
I mean, I
Can
don't
can we
mind
get
working
together
with you all.
and try to work this out? Maybe make arrangements with the city and try to work this out?
Yeah, that would be, I mean, I'm not really, not opposed to it, because my grandkids may use it. I just want my privacy. That's what they want their privacy. I just want my privacy. That's all I'm asking for. I
Understood.
work my butt off, and I want to be able to enjoy my pool without people going, if I wanted that, I would have moved into development, not out in the middle of nowhere like I am right now. I appreciate that. I would like that. Thank you for working with me about that.
Certainly.
All right, thank you. And we'll figure something out.
Well, that is going to be the location of the parking lot. The only thing that we can alter are the kind of trees that you're going to cut in the fence.
You can't
We
put
can,
it-
we
you
can
can't
discuss
put
that
it
later.
Further?
This is it.
Now I have flower, no, actually not gonna bother my flowers. Why can't, I said, why can't you put it a little further back? Where it's That's what I
Well, we had
remember.
already
Let's do a
just,
walkthrough out there and
we had, and this is what
Okay.
we had discussed last year too as well. Are you saying to do a site walk through on site?
yes, before, be ideal.
Good.
And so maybe the city manager and whomever,
That would be good.
and I'd very much like to be part of that walkthrough.
All right,
Okay.
appreciate it, thank you.
Ma'am, I'm curious, why you can't move, I mean, you have 120 acres, you can't move the parking lot back?
I know that
We
you had
have
addressed this
basically
before.
one spot where we can meet and to meet the 445-foot sightline distance the county is requiring.
Right, but the entrance could still be there, but the parking
Right.
lot could be farther back, right?
Well, this is where the design has called for it to be from the concept stage. We're trying to minimize the impervious surface, minimize the cost, minimize the environmental impact of it. That also reduces the amount of stormwater management we need to do. So the more we pave, the less natural the environment, the more stormwater runoff we've got, and of course, the more cost for the city. The parking lot was also pulled up close to the road because there were also concerns that if we put it back in the middle of the woods, that it would be an attractive nuisance, that people would go there to party because they wouldn't be seen from the road and so on. So we brought it up closer to the road, trying, in hopes of mitigating that kind of an issue. So it's kind of, darned if we do, darned if we don't situation. But those are some of the factors that played into the design that we okayed, at the concept stage. And that's what we've spent, tens of thousands of dollars to refine with all the stormwater and construction drawings at this point. But also, so yes, the driveway location is pretty much a fixed point. That was quite a challenge. It's been a little difficult to get this through. We asked to meet with the county roads representatives in the field to make sure that, that they were in agreement. They said, no, just have your engineer certify it. So we had the engineer come back out, do the process that the county requires to certify the site distance, submitted it, and then they told us, oh no, it's wrong. We went out in the field and looked. And it's like, well, you told us to do it this way. We did it this way. They certified it. And, so eventually we got everybody out there, zoning administrator, consultant engineer, county roads people, all finally met on site. And then it was kind of almost comical, I guess, oh, you mean that state? That's okay. So it's been a bit of a challenge to nail down the entrance and get the county approval, which we finally did get Friday with that meeting in the field.
So Dan, the goal was, sorry, Jim, the goal was the county and for us, really, but more so the county, to not get a variance that's not good for anybody liability-wise. So what we had to do, we spent months and countless hours meeting with everybody that had to be there to find a 445-foot site for both directions. And it's the line, it's the red line about that on your side of the frame. It's the red line. If you go back into the woods, there's a tree that's marked. You'll be able to see 445 feet in each direction.
So I appreciate all the work, and I understand everything that you guys went through. The reason I asked was on the phase 2 of the plan where you had the observatory, there was a parking lot for that, which was farther back off the line. So I assumed there was going to be a road to go to that.
Yeah,
And a
there
parking
is.
lot to go to that. So as far as the environmental concerns, I would have thought that would have been part of that phase 2 plan. So that's why I asked.
If we're acknowledging that nobody, well, not that nobody's going to use it, but that there's going to be limited people using it, and it's not in a walkable distance to the city, I mean, it's not my place to question, but I'm starting to wonder about the project. No offense, but again, you acknowledged earlier that not many people are going to be using it. It's not going to be a traffic nuisance. It's outside of city range for walkability. I'm starting to question it myself. And if we're not being flexible, again, I don't get why we're pushing it so hard. That's all I gotta say.
I think when when we talk about not many people using it, okay, compared to Memorial Park, there's not going to be that intensity of use. Memorial Park, there are hundreds and hundreds of people down there on game days and such. Same thing at Roberts Mill, THS. We don't anticipate that kind of crowded scenario. I hope people will use it, but as you can see from the size of the parking lot, it's not expected that we're going to have, a huge volume of people there at any one given time. So compared to a park with, what we would call active recreation, like the sports events and things like that, this is going to be a low volume of usage. But, I hope that we'll see
No,
people out there.
I see that, but you can't even walk to the walking nature park.
Part of a long-term plan to make things
and-
around the city more walkable.
Ideally, at some point, maybe there can be a pedestrian connection to the Meads Crossing subdivision. That could be a challenge with, the state highway and trying to cross that road, for a pedestrian. It's, tough enough down here at the square to do that. But, but we have the floodplain issue to deal with on that side. But, the actual distance from, dwellings is really not that far from Meads Crossing. I mean, it's an easy walk, across there, but it's not really a safe one.
Well, they told me
So,
some of the residents there told me they used to use it before the no trespass sign was up. But again, there is no walkability from that development to the actual entrance of this park. It's just, again, you said long-term, but the scope of it right now just really doesn't make sense. Not to me, at least.
Ms. Berry?
I just wanted to ask a clarifying question. There's two lines out there now. You said the red line or the white line. Which is the entrance? Because they're not side by side.
So there's a red line,
It's
orange,
Yeah, then it-
by itself.
Right.
It's about a foot long. It's on your side of Fringer. And that's the area where they used, the county was there. CLSI had three engineers there to verify the same photograph that 45.
Right, but there's a white line that says entrance here.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you're saying
yeah.
the red, so which one is the entrance?
For the third time, the red line is the
Red
one, yeah,
line.
that's the one,
Okay,
yeah,
so that's closer to the Ruby's house then.
yeah.
So you shouldn't have a white line out there going entrance here if your entrance is at the red line.
Right, that was the county's engineers, road engineers went out and I don't know what they were measuring. When we all went out there together, they saw where we
Well,
had
I was
marked,
just
so,
clarifying
yeah.
what line we were referring to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the red
it can
one
be
there.
confusing when you're looking, and there are all kinds of markings all over the road, for sure.
If that's the red line that I'm thinking about, because I took some pictures on my phone over the weekend and like starting a couple weeks ago, and like from like 2 weeks right up to like this past couple days. If it's the one I'm thinking about, it's the closest to my property, you can look in my bedroom window, you can look in my bathroom window and see what I'm doing. Because I even pulled up the curtains and I could see I couldn't see myself because obviously I was out, but I could literally see what was in my bathroom. I could see what was in my bedroom. That's not fair to us.
Okay, I think it may be
No.
beneficial, as Mr. Parker, as the chairman said, for us all to meet out
Yeah, I
there,
wanna know what
because
you're
it
all
is
talking about.
confusing with
Yeah.
all of the lines sprayed all over the
Yeah.
road from multiple trips by multiple people. So why don't we'll make an appointment, we'll all meet out there, we'll say, look, this is the line where the entrance is going to be, and then we'll check things out that way, so
Yeah,
that
'cause
way
I don't want
everybody
people
knows.
talking at me in my bedroom windows. They had to frost their bathroom windows. That's not fair to them. And I don't have to do that with my bedroom windows.
Okay, well, let's try to get this scheduled as soon as we can and get out there so we can, because
Yeah, because you got.
I'd like to have a
if
better
you got the-
understanding. If they're on site, when we can walk through it.
You got the
How's
one
that?
that says entrance here, and that's one I saw, but then I saw the rose one over here, and then that disappeared, and that's one closer to my property.
Yeah.
That's not gonna fly. I'm sorry, y'all. That's not
Okay,
gonna fly.
all right, well, why don't
Great.
I think I already have your number, but I'm gonna get it again.
Yes.
And then I'll get your number if that's okay, and then we can all meet out there,
Okay.
okay? That way we're all on the same page as far as this location.
All right, Daryl, let's move on to the other projects.
Okay, Are there any other
We're
questions?
moving on to the other
We're
project.
good? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this up then.
Okay.
Okay, Lorena, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Carol, you got the floor.
Okay. So I'm going to continue on with the active site plan projects. And this is storage today. They're very close. There's one sewer line we're worried about, and they don't have water or sewer going to their project. So that gaggle of the wetlands and all that, they got through it. So they're pretty close. We should probably hear from them for final approval next month.
Okay.
Garnet Ridge has been a little bit of activity on that. You'll probably see that soon. Policeman's Restaurant there. So with the simplified site plan that the county has, it seems harder than going through the whole deal. So the 5 review agencies that will look at that facility are well into the 2-week process for them to redistribute any comments that they have. And they should be, per our discussion, ready to be permitted. Mylars, rather.
So what was the last issue about moving the entrance?
Oh, so there's a double wide acre there already.
Because it's 2 lots, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So I think they wanted to realign to just make it easier to get through there, because it's a pretty bad curve going out to 140. And the only other 2 items were the parking lot. They want to use cement instead of asphalt, which I think will look nicer. You'd think it'd be a lot more expensive, but they do cement, police knows, the people in. And then finally, the sign, they wanted to,
Excuse me, folks, could we
so,
hold it down back there?
whereas we hadn't really even talked about the sign, because typically that would be permitted later, once they figure out what they could use and where. I mean, the sign that they're looking at right now is 27 square feet on both sides, but I don't know that if that's too large for the area. So in any case, we're working on that, and again, that'll be permitted later. And that Feeser property is very quiet, as far as the hardware store and the lumberyard goes.
Okay,
So we're just waiting for them to come to us.
okay. So we move on to the delegates. Help me out a little here.
All right, let me catch
Been
up here.
two. Please come to the mic and help me pronounce your name and a little about what you want.
It's Bintu Jaite.
Excuse me?
Bintu
I got that part, the last name.
Jaite.
Okay.
If I may, sir,
Excuse me?
if I may.
Yes.
So Bintu, I'm going to just catch them up on what we're doing here.
Okay.
So this is going to be a board of, this scenario and the next case is going to be for the Board of Zoning Appeals. May 20, the day after our next meeting. So as part of the process, any home occupation requires a special exception. And the procedure is that she would present her case, you all would ask her questions, and you can give an opinion or not, but then this requirement allows her to go to the BZA at some point. Okay?
Okay.
Bintu?
So I'm new to this, so I'm a little bit nervous because I don't really.
So tell us just a little bit about what you want to do.
Okay, so,
How you're going to do it and how far you're along with the process.
Okay, so I'm trying to open a home care, a daycare center. A home care. And how far along? I'm hoping to open by September because I'm 8 months pregnant right now. So, and right now I'm working. I already finished all my classes, and I'm working on the fencing too. I have like the quote on how much I'm gonna be paying for the fences right here.
Okay?
So for privacy, and it's 6 feet too, so I'm gonna be, I have like, especially my neighbors that are behind me.
Okay, and you're aware you have to get a permit for that fence?
With HOA, I don't think so. My HOA.
Yes, you do.
I do?
We can
Yes,
talk
you-
with that.
Oh, we work, I haven't started yet, I just got the quote the other day, so I'm working on it. So obviously, this is my first time, my first home, and
Everybody has to start somewhere.
Yeah. And then okay, so my house is 2,443 feet, but I'm only gonna use the basement. And I'm only gonna use 16, the license specialist came to my house last week, and I'm only gonna use 16% out of the 25, which is gonna be the recreation room, and the bathroom, and then the den. And then the den will be for the two babies, my baby and maybe hopefully the next baby I'm gonna be working with.
How many are you planning on having? How many?
So for the state, my limit is 8, but I think I'm gonna just do 5. I don't think I can do all 8.
Okay, but you don't have your license yet, right?
No, I don't have my license yet. I'm supposed to be approved by zoning before I go through license, even though I'm still working on license too, just waiting for zoning.
Is the license through the county or through the state?
The county,
I think.
I thought they were state license. I just want to confirm it.
I thought you had to get one through county as well.
Well, yeah, but the license as a daycare, I thought was state license. Because doesn't the state, ma'am, you have an answer?
MSDE, so it is the state.
Yep.
oh,
What did you say?
MSDE.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Well, I'm going, working with the county right now, so hopefully it will just,
Okay. So, any other questions?
Ma'am, just a question on your fence. So are you just planning on like fencing off the back part of your yard?
I'm doing like the whole
yard?
the whole yard.
But like starting at the back of your house towards the back of the?
Yeah, and then like close it up with 2 gates on the sides.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the other one, the first, on my left is gonna be the entrance.
Yeah, so
And then-
just to be clear, the side of your house and the front of your house, there will be no fence. It's all from the back corners of your house to the,
To the front and then close to my,
I was wondering the same thing,
yeah.
where that fence was gonna go.
well, they,
Is stayed to the rear of the front corner of the house.
The 2 corners of the rear of the house, out and back.
Well, I haven't seen it yet, but as long as she stays to the rear corner of the front of the house, she's good.
Okay.
I have, the paper from the fencing company, if you wanna see it.
Sure.
Okay.
How it's gonna be.
Thank you. It's gonna be halfway down the side of the house.
Halfway down the side of the house, then towards the rear.
Okay. And I gather you got signatures from all your neighbors,
Huh?
and you have signatures from your neighbors, correct?
Yeah, I'm pretty friendly with them, so they all support.
I have them here, thank you. Hard copy. I'm good with that. So you say it's around September, you expect to have this all completed and ready for September?
Yeah, hopefully.
Your license classes completed?
My classes are
permit.
completed.
Okay. And I notice you do have an exit out of the basement to the backyard, that's correct,
I
right?
do have it's a sliding door.
Like a,
Okay, and I guess with the inspections, you'll have smoke detectors and all that stuff go
Yes,
through the
it's a new
inspections.
build, so I have every smoke detector and like,
Sliding door and 2 windows.
yeah, and 2 windows.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments? There again, I'd like to see a recommendation either in favor or opposed to go to the P and Z, P and A, Z and A. B and A.
One of them.
One of those, yeah. Anybody have any questions?
Will you have anybody working with you, or is it just gonna be you?
Well, the ratio is 1:8, so but I don't think I will do all 8.
Okay. There again, I'm looking for some type of comments, motion, recommendation.
I'm not allowed to.
You're right. You're right.
Well, you're allowed to have an opinion.
You're right.
I do have an opinion.
You're right. Come on, guys, gals.
I vote that we move to accept the application for daycare center at 12 Allison Street.
We're looking for not a recommendation,
Favorable?
but a favorable recommendation, a favorable recommendation to the
Right.
Board
So
of Appeals.
if you.
Put that in
are-
words
if
for me,
you-
Jim.
Right. If you support the idea, you'll make a favorable recommendation to the Board of Appeals.
Right.
Right. And then I move to make the favorable recommendation to the Board of Appeals for the,
And there's a second to that? Bill seconds it.
Oh, that's what I
Okay,
heard.
there we go. Any discussion from the floor? Okay, all those in favor of the recommendation, of a favorable recommendation, signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thanks, Bintu.
Thank you very much, and good luck with it.
Thank you. I leave or stay?
You can do whatever you want.
I forgot one thing
You did great.
about the sign. Where she go? Ma'am, can I ask you one question? How you planning on advertising your business?
Well, I am, so first, my neighbors, like, maybe like 10 of them have kids. I already talked to them about it.
Mouth?
And then, and I have Facebook, Instagram. I'm young, 30,
Okay.
so I'm gonna open like a Facebook, and then, because I've been working with kids, and right now I'm a private nanny in DC, working for, I signed an NDA, but the way I was advertising myself is through all these websites and stuff.
Okay, I was just concerned that there wasn't gonna be a sign put in the front yard.
Signs?
No sign.
Okay,
Fine.
okay. Thank you.
Late on that thought. All right. Next agenda item. Associated Catholic Charity Head Start, 38 West Balmer Street, Lutheran Church, Board of Appeals case. They're requesting a special exception. Is this something we do every year?
Seems like it. Because last year we had 2 or 3. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I thought so.
Daycares.
Yeah. Earlier in the year? Yeah.
Okay.
Hi. Okay.
So Chairman, Trinity, fun fact, is in the R 7500 zone. So where daycares are allowed in all zones, but because of the zoning here, they need a variance, they need a special exception as well to have a daycare in that zoning.
Okay.
So my name is Amy Hammond, and I'm the education coordinator for the Head Start program and Early Head Start here in Carroll County. We currently have a Head Start at 4501 Stumptown Road. Head Start is for 3 and 4-year-olds. Early Head Start is, we serve pregnant moms, infants, and toddlers. So we've had our Head Start program here in Taneytown, and that has been very successful. We were just thinking, if we could start working with the children and families at a younger age. So we've been talking and working with Trinity, and we would like to open Early Head Start. We would serve 8 children year-round. The children would be there for 6 hours, 8:30 to 2:30. You should have received a map of where the classroom would be
Yes.
inside the church. If you're not familiar with Head Start or Early Head Start, we do serve low-income families. The number changes based on what the poverty guidelines are each year, so that's who determines eligibility for our program. All of our families have a family service coordinator, and they work very much like a social worker, so helping the family with any medical needs, housing, jobs, education, helping to make sure the children are up to date on immunizations, going to see the dentist. It operates completely at no charge to the families. It's absolutely free. We do serve breakfast and lunch. The children will nap on site there with us. The fire marshal did come out and did a walkthrough, and then they would come back out for their final visit as well. And we're doing some renovations, painting. We're going to put in a playground and new flooring, another sink. Licensing did a walkthrough, MSDE licensing. Do you have questions for me?
Are there any other classes, or so will you guys be the only class in there now?
The only class.
And you expect to open when?
We would love to open the beginning of July.
Okay.
We currently have early Head Start classrooms at our main site, which is in Westminster, 255 Clifton Boulevard. We have classrooms there.
Anybody have any questions or comments? If not, I'll do the same thing. Bradley, would you like to repeat that again?
Yeah, I can make a motion, make a favorable motion to accept move forward to the board with
Okay.
this request with the Head Start at Trinity Lutheran Church.
And is there a second? Second. Second by Miller. Okay, any further discussion? Any comments from the floor? If not, all those in favor of that recommendation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am, good luck. Okay. Next item on the agenda, Pat Small, Taneytown Auto Parts, 11 Franklin Street, concept site plan presentation. Demolish 2 existing buildings, rebuild and enlarge an existing building. Daryl, you want to give us a little? No, it's just a presentation tonight.
Pat, do you want to hand out what you
Yeah, I'm
got?
gonna give you.
Enough for all of us?
These are the experts.
Right.
So let me show you. So the things in question are going to be in the buildings. You can't, I have.
These are
These
the
are
two
extras.
tearing down.
That's what we're going to be talking
Part
about.
of this,
Okay.
is the foundation.
Okay, yep. Mike,
Making this a little bit bigger.
So what I'm suggesting is I want to take the X buildings down and replace it with one building, which would be like 62 by 56. I do have, actually, I'll show you these two. That, but the other building that is still there, the separate building, I'm just going to take and put a new roof on that and raise it to a regular 10-foot ceiling. These are
repeat
the
that
plans.
again, would you? The
Okay.
second building is, which one's the second building?
Look, I'll show you. So where the X's are,
They come down?
yeah, these all come down. This is a separate building.
Oh, so it's,
So back, this would stay here, this building here, but it'd be all one continuous roof. I would raise the roof to make it all the same height.
okay,
Would be a 10-foot ceiling. So these 3 come down. This is actually a separate building, but they're somewhat connected. These would come out of here because they're slab it, dated.
okay.
And put one building up from this structure here back. Would be 62, it's the same footprint, same 62 by 56. And this is the print I got from my contractor. Don't hang up, these are located. That's what it would look like. These are all the copies. They look like this. Basically, that's what it is.
So Daryl, did you review these and can you help us out a little bit here, understand what we want to do?
Sure.
I mean, demolition really is not an issue with us. When you're putting up the new building, that comes back, that would be in our field.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of chicken and the egg discussion here. So the two buildings that are coming down, they need to. And then the third one closer to Franklin, that building is in pretty bad shape as well. So Mr. Small's goal is to spruce up that aging business. And so on the, is that Wance Drive?
Wayne's Drive is the back, well, Antrim Street is the back street.
Oh, Antrim, okay. So where Antrim is, he's gonna reuse the block building
that-
that's there and add, coming back up, add to the new building, which is new and old on the Roberts Mill side.
Okay, let me hold you right. So the block building is at the corner of Roberts Mill and Antrim.
Yes.
Correct,
So that's what's staying, right?
correct. Mhm.
Okay, and that's
The
what,
only addition to that building would be the roof would be all one continuous roof, and we'd raise it to a 10-foot ceiling, just on that building.
so the three is coming down, that's gonna be just bare ground, right?
There's concrete, existing concrete there where we redo, put a new structure up there.
So a new structure's gonna go where the three buildings?
Yes.
Okay, and that's what's here.
Give or take a foot, maybe smaller because of the footprint of it technically, but
So then how do we look as far as the square footage replacing?
the
what's
square
there and
footage
what's
that is
coming up?
replacing is like be about 3,472.
More?
No,
Less.
that's the, well, I don't know exactly because I can't measure each, I never measured each building separately. But to replace them buildings with a 62 by 56 is what it is on that footprint, is 3,400 square feet. So technically, it's probably within a foot. I mean, I'd have to go measure, to be honest with you, I don't know.
But it's no bigger.
It's not.
Okay,
No bigger.
no bigger. That's what I'm saying.
I don't, if it would be, it might be a foot longer, or be closer to the existing building that's there, but then it would just be, it would narrow that walkway down, because there's a walkway between the two buildings that is kind of like a sore, just, it's a bad thing. So if I can narrow it down and put a thing there, so that would be the only thing.
So the same footprint, basically. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, it might be a hair wide, longer, but basically, yes, the same footprint. It's existing concrete the whole way there.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. So Daryl or Jim, what are we looking at here? I mean, this is basically all he's asking for tonight is presentation. So, okay. So it's our opportunity to ask more questions.
I don't really have any questions.
I don't have any questions
Yeah.
here until I go out and look at it again. So, do we need a full site plan on this? How many
It's like 3,400 square feet. Is what the, but it's basically replacing it.
right, so we,
So,
go
right, so
ahead.
process-wise, any new non-residential building triggers the site plan requirement.
That's what I thought.
So that's,
So next month?
so next month.
We concept
could
plan
be-
approval and then right down the road.
We could be contemplating, right, and Daryl and I haven't really talked like strategy about this or anything. So, I don't know if this is a project to contemplate a site plan waiver or not, because we don't know the use or anything like that to know what the intensity would be. But, just the basic idea of putting up a new non-residential building gets you into site plan territory.
It's going to be the same, it's just going to be storage. It's just replacing a building to make the place look better. It's
Okay,
not
so
really changing anything other than beautifying the area. I don't know.
There's a lot of history here. We go from a cannon factory to Doherty's ice plant and the meat market. I mean,
Do you remember when it used to be a seafood market back here?
yes, I
Yeah,
do. I remember when I was a kid, it used to be, was it tomato factory, tomato? Was that?
It was
who
cannon
that?
factory.
Newspawn.
Yes,
Somebody, that goes way
it
back.
was Newspawn. My dad bought it from Newspawn.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's a lot of history there with that. Okay. I guess when you come back, I would think we would like to know what you're going to use it for.
Store, I mean, I can tell you right
When you
now.
say storage, I mean, that could be anything.
I mean, it's occupied now basically by people just putting their goods in it,
So
meaning
you're
like,
subleasing it out?
yeah, that's, I mean, it's been like that for,
Okay. Okay, it's just,
yeah, I mean, that's it. That's what it is.
okay. So any questions? Any comments from the floor? Okay, I think we're good for now.
Need anything back, Pat?
I don't,
I got, that's what I'm looking for.
Thanks, Pat.
Okay,
This is an extra, I don't know, if somebody's going to see it front.
you guys got copies of this? Okay, we're good. All right, I think we're good on all of that. All right. FY 24-29 Capital Improvement Program. We almost need a recess.
I asked all my questions.
You asked, all right. I don't know what process we want to go through. I think everybody should have went through, so if you have some questions, and then Jim,
Yeah, I can give just a quick overview, if that would be
okay, I
helpful.
do have a couple questions though, but you can
Okay,
do your
sure.
own.
Okay, so you may recall seeing something very similar to this about a year ago. And so the city tries to plan out our capital improvements, you know, on a somewhat long-range window. So we try to shoot for a 6-year program to have an idea, you know, what our expenses are going to be, what we think we can afford to accomplish, and so on. In the past, we've adopted a plan and then, you know, tried to execute as much of it as financing allowed, but then we pretty much don't look at it or update it until that 6-year window is closed. So going forward, we're trying to review this plan and update it on an annual basis as we talk about our budget each year. So rather than wait and then every 6 years have this huge effort to put something together from scratch, or try to go back and look back at 6 years to see what we did or didn't accomplish, we're just trying to do it annually from here on, just to kind of keep this a rolling 6-year plan now. So we've dropped off the stuff that was in there that we've accomplished, that we've already built, or the things that we expect to be finished by the end of this fiscal year, which is FY '23. So the plan that I sent out for everyone to look at in advance of the meeting basically drops off the things that we've built or expect to have finished by the end of this year, and it goes out now to fiscal year 2029. There are some projects that slid a year into the future compared to what you've seen previously, and that's based somewhat on what we think as, I'll say, capacity limited for city staff to manage. So we have the Roberts Mill Road and Broad Street project is ongoing and will be expected to be ongoing through a good portion of 2023, fiscal year '24. And with that ongoing, as well as some sewer rehabilitation projects, that's going to keep us pretty busy just trying to manage those projects. So we slid a couple other ones a year into the future to let us be able to focus on those pretty critical projects over the next year or so. We talked a little bit earlier about the observatory being pulled from Bollinger Park because the Westminster Astronomical Society is no longer interested in doing that site. So one of the, I guess, new projects to this is instead of doing the observatory as a future phase for Bollinger Park, we've instead plugged in a splash park to go in Memorial Park. So that'll give the kids a water activity to do down there, you know, in the hot summer days. So that's a new project that's in here. But otherwise, we didn't add a lot for fiscal year 2029. Part of that is we expect there to be kind of a dry spell on development. And that development that we've seen, like with Meads Crossing and the Meadowbrook community, that's what fills the coffers for water and sewer impact fees and park impact fees and fees in lieu of open space that go to parks. So those are our funding sources for a lot of the capital projects. So right now, as you're aware, we don't have any major projects like that in the pipeline. We have Garnet Ridge, and that'll be 50 dwellings. But compared to a, multi-phase residential subdivision like we've seen recently, we're not going to be seeing that revenue. So it makes it a little bit hard to project out that far, not having a really good feel for where we'll be with things in the development pipeline to replenish those funds. The projects that are in here far exceed the amount of money that we got from the American Rescue Plan Act. That was about $7.4 million from the federal government that we received. And that is all going towards projects related to water and sewer and repairing streets as a result of digging them up to replace the water and sewer. So that $7 million is basically being used to catch up on a lot of deferred maintenance that the city hasn't done for many years on the water and sewer system. So that's kind of maybe a little bit not quite as general as I was going to be, but that I think sums up the 24 to 29 capital improvement program. If there are questions about a specific project in here, I'd be happy to answer that. There is one that I think with the last version, we had a to be determined amount, and that was for a new public works facility. And that's going to be split across water, sewer, and streets with, I think it's, 40% sewer, no, I'm sorry, 40% water, 40% streets, and 20% sewer, I think is the way we broke it down. Because a lot of the sewer work actually happens at the wastewater treatment plant. So that's why it's not apportioned equally with streets and water. But basically, this will be replace the facility that's down in Memorial Park right now, which the department has really outgrown, and the condition of the building is kind of rough, and it's to the point that it's well under capacity, that there's really no practical way to modify it and make it functional for what we need for the growing city. That facility really hasn't grown with the city. We have put on some additional public works people over the last 10 years, not nearly as many as police, but the department has grown a little bit, and our equipment has grown. And we need space to store all that equipment, keep it out of the weather, and keep it ready to roll. And also, we would like to get some of those things out of the park. So that's what the new DPW Public Works development or Public Works shop will be. And that is a pretty big price tag. That's looking at a $7 million project. So it's going to be kind of grant dependent. So if we're able to line up grant funding, it's going to move forward. If we can't line up funding, it's probably going to get pushed down the road farther until we can get some funding for it, or unless we start getting a lot of impact fee revenue that we can put towards it. So that's kind of a big one. And right now, we don't expect that we will have $7 million in savings to throw at it. So that's one of the big changes that's in here, is that has a number to it now. So with that, I'll try to answer any questions you guys have.
Okay. Stumptown Road. Where in the master plan did we pick that up, that we were gonna develop that out through there? Because I noticed you added here based on, extending the water line. I thought that Stumptown Road, isn't that a county road?
We have taken maintenance over to a farther point, and there still is a point where the county picks it up between, I don't think we take it all the way out to Sells Mill yet, but I could be mistaken on that. But the idea of putting the water and sewer out there at city expense is kind of evolved from the city's acquisition of acreage out there that is intended for a future park. And it
Future
also,
park.
yes. And it also ties into a potential site for that public works facility.
That was my question, where the new one was going to go. Okay.
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 Because I was wondering if it's going to be developed out there, why wouldn't we have the developer put the water line in, not us?
And that is something that we
Because we're the
are
developer.
having some discussions on.
I didn't see that in the master plan, in our master plan, so when we update the master plan, we want to make sure we include whatever we're going to do in that master plan for
Right.
there.
On the comprehensive plan, that property that the city acquired is still shown as suburban residential development and not a park.
Okay, and are we actually going to demolition the creamery? I mean,
So-
that's just a comment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in
So
there.
I think what we said was something a little bit more general, like,
Find a use for it. I think
yeah, what was it?
I don't think it said demolition.
Well, like I said, well, I had it as demolition, I thought it was demolition. But either way, it was just a comment I wanted to make and
Okay.
clarify.
So, yeah, we have that under city hall projects. And, right, and it's just,
Converting the
what
site
do we
to
call it?
productive use.
Let's see,
Pardon me?
Converting the site to
Right.
productive use,
productive use, there we go.
Parking lot, post office.
mitigating hazard conditions.
Right. So it's a
Okay.
little fuzzy on exactly what that is going to be. It could be demolition, it could be partial demolition and adaptive reuse of part of it, but the idea is just to push the needle one way or the other on it, and not have it just be a derelict building surrounded by a chain link fence for much longer.
We have two more questions. Festival Park,
That's the one out there.
where's that?
That's the Stumptown Road property.
Is that what the,
That's Stumptown Road.
that's Stumptown Road? Kind of hid that in there, didn't you? And then, does all the pumping stations that the developer puts in for the develops sites, do they become the city maintenance and the city owned?
Typically, they do. There are a couple private force mains in the city that just serve one or two properties. But the ones that serve a number of individual dwellings, individual lots, those all get accepted by the city. So we have one at Windy Hills, Creekside, Carroll Vista, York Street, of
York
course.
Street, yeah.
And then I know there are a couple private ones, the Herring Apartments, Antrim Mini Storage. I think the bowling alley's Gravity now. That used to be a private one, or that used to be a city one. But yeah, generally the ones for residential development are eventually accepted by the city when the developer finishes everything. And when the roads and water and sewer get deeded, so would a pumping station. Oh, Meads Crossing has one.
Crossing.
That's not ours yet, but eventually it will be.
So if and when Antrim Boulevard, if we get a lumber hardware store out there, that'll have to be a pump station, or will that go down to Carroll, or Carroll Vista?
That's going to be up to their engineer, really. Water and sewer, I believe, are in Hartman Street.
Yeah.
That's contiguous to the property, but we don't know the elevations to know if they'll be able to get gravity flow to that line, or if they will have to pump out to Trevanian Road to tie into a manhole there. Sewage from Carroll Vista gets pumped from the bottom of the hill at Clubside, basically.
Yeah.
At the low spot there, it gets pumped back up to, it kind of runs through along the perimeter of Carroll Vista, and then up Trevanian Road to a point near Antrim Boulevard. I don't remember exactly which manhole, but it's right around Antrim, where then it flows from Gravity towards the treatment plant. So the hardware store potentially may have to have a private force main from the building to a manhole where Gravity will take over from there.
And that'd be the
That
responsibility of the
would be
developer.
private if it was just for, most likely, for just one building.
Okay.
Okay.
So any questions I had for the budget? Anybody, anything else? So, do we approve this, or
So-
do we make a recommendation for the city council to approve this?
So what we've done in the past is.
We've done it two different ways, because I looked, so
Right.
that's why.
Right. So I think a motion to approve would be in order. And I did not bring the draft resolution language with me, but I believe that says where it was reviewed and approved by the planning commission. So a motion to approve would be ideal.
Okay. Would somebody like to make that motion?
Shouldn't be me.
Okay, I'll make the motion then. Let's get it on the floor. Okay. Now I need a second.
Second.
Bill seconds it. Now we're open for more discussion. Anybody? Anyone from the floor? Okay.
Again, just to point out, we're trying to take a look at this every year as we do our budget so that we can kind of stay on top of the projects a little bit better that,
Good idea.
in the past.
What does that mean by the planning commission approving it instead of a
So
recommendation?
basically, it's kind of, it's a little bit more than what you do with a development rights and responsibilities agreement. Essentially, the capital improvement program, all the things that are in here are supposed to be helping us further the goals of the comprehensive plan. That's why it's kind of in your ball court right now.
Okay.
So, things like the infrastructure improvements, the water and sewer programs, that helps us recover capacity on the sewer stuff at the treatment plant so that we can move into, the development that the comprehensive plan calls for. Same thing with, with water projects. They will help tighten the system, reduce water loss so that we can, essentially sell the water that's now getting lost in the ground that we're still paying to produce it and treat it, and then it's getting lost through breaks in the pipes and so on. The parks projects are a little bit less of a direct correlation to growth, but again, thinking back to the comprehensive plan, we talk about, recreational opportunities for the citizens and the community. So basically, that's why it's in front of you, is because the projects in here are supposed to be aligned with what we're trying to achieve in the comprehensive plan.
Okay, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, likewise? Unanimous, thank you. So don't come back
Thank you.
on us now.
No,
City council.
not at all. We know it's there. Carol, I had a quick question, just about the paper from the Department of Transportation for the Garnet Ridge thing. Like, I haven't seen anything recently on this end of things. Have we discussed with them the road and the plan for the road? Because I'm noticing that it's saying, that it doesn't need the deceleration lane and all this other stuff, but if that's gonna end up being a feeder road, like what is the difference between what they're saying you don't need, as opposed to what they originally had?
Right, so they're comment letters, so, as you well know.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is, not what we're doing, what they'd asked us to do is to hold off on their concept until they get a little bit of activity rolling through the pipeline. There's a lot to figure out on that because, that state highway's a big deal. They don't like the proposed type entrance. So it's a good bit down the road, but I look forward to getting those prints. They're big.
Okay.
Out of my office and into your hands in the event that we can get them in here perhaps in May, or worst case scenario, June. So there's a little bit of activity rolling around the county, but I don't have anything major yet. We're still working on comment letters.
So when we get those plans, that'll be for the preliminary, right? Preliminary approval?
So we've received the preliminary plan drawings, but they weren't received in time, and the property wasn't posted in time to be on tonight's agenda. So rather than give you the plans and ask everybody to remember to bring them back next month.
And they're a chunk, make some space.
Okay.
So,
We folded, they're this deep.
We only got 50 homes. There's only 50 homes in there, how can they?
Well, so take heed, they've done a lot of the homework prior to us getting, that's why it's
So
rolling.
there'll be a lot of information.
Yeah, they're ready to.
And there's only two different styles.
and it's, right, but the preliminary plan is where they talk about, erosion and sediment control, grading, stormwater management, water and sewer plans, as well as off-site water and sewer, because they're not contiguous to existing right now. So it's a pretty big plan set.
Okay.
And that's going to be next month?
Perhaps. Yeah, I'll be getting them out to you if you guys don't mind, next week or so.
That would be good.
So you can go over them, it's a lot.
Yeah, that would be good.
Thank you.
And on, we already did your report. You want to touch any more on your report? I think you've hit most everything on the report.
Pretty much, we have.
Yeah.
So just like, looks like Bollinger Park will be going down to the construction phase projects next month, maybe a couple other changes. But, yeah, that's all I have, sir.
Okay. Move on to legal report. Jay, you available?
I am here, and I have nothing that would justify keeping you any later than you already have. So I will hit you up in another meeting when it's not so late.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody have anything for Jay? All right. County. Tiffany. Good evening.
I'll keep it brief too. The 2022 fall amendment to the 2019 Carroll County Water and Sewer Master Plan has been approved. The triennial update to that plan is going to be presented hopefully to the Board of County Commissioners in June. Transportation Master Plan continues to be presented to the Planning Commission. The annual report should be available for review by staff and yourselves next month. The hazard mitigation plan has been approved by the Board of County Commissioners, and so each municipality must adopt it in their own jurisdictions to receive funding for that by 3/16/2024. And the economic development and land use study, the workshop is planned for this Thursday at the library in Westminster at 5 p.m. Any questions this evening?
Any comments, any questions? All right.
All right, thank you.
Very much. Shouldn't be any old or new business. We'll go around the room here in a minute. Our next meeting in May should be the 22nd. Does that suit everyone? I guess that's what,
It's a change from the 29th.
excuse me?
It's a change from the 29th.
Yes, because of the holiday.
Holiday? So the 22nd?
Yep. Okay, Bill, you have anything?
Not this time.
Chris? Judy? Dan?
Nothing.
No.
Any more comments from the floor? Jay or Jim? Or, sorry, Dan, Daryl?
Been
Jim?
called worse. I'm good.
I've heard that before. All right, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Is there a second?
Yeah, I second.
Oh, you second, okay.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Thank you very much.